Hey guys! So for the last few days, I've been going through a teeny bit of a manga binge. I went through my own titles first, and then I realized, time for something new. So I went on Amazon and began looking up a lot of cool new things, like Kiss of the Rose Princess, Requiem of a Rose King, Excel World, and really, it's just the ultimate question. We have thought and pondered this question since Dungeons and Dragons and people began playing RPG games on their PlayStations. Really, it's one that every adventurer and fantasy person should think of. Is it wrong to pick up girls from a dungeon? And while it is true that it's wrong because she's probably been tormented by the creepy crawlies of the dungeon, it's also right because you kind of are her hero and you want more than a kiss. You kind of want to get with her because she's pretty. However, I managed to find something that topped off all of these titles. It is something that just came to America recently, and it's something that is relatively new to Japan. And since I want more people in America, Canada, and basically all around the world to read it, I decided to review the first 19 chapters. So let's get started, shall we? The Ancient Magus' Bride. So that title probably brought this to your mind. It's about this tsundere, and the tsundere, she is so totally like this one guy, and he looks like young, and he's in high school and stuff like that, and they go to the same high school, of course. But she acts like so tsundere to him, but then he saves her, and then it's like this ancient prophecy that's going to happen, and she has to marry him or else the world will be destroyed. Oh, but of course there's her best friend since elementary school, and he wants to get with her, but they can't, so he decides to become evil and stuff, and they save the world and get married and have 22 kids. Okay, it does sound like it could be that kind of thing that I just described. But the truth is, it's actually much, much cooler and deeper, and it's just much better than that. So let me tell you about the actual premise of the story. So it's actually about this girl named Chise, and I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong, so forgive me. But it's about a girl who's been an orphan, like in every other anime and manga that's ever existed. So she's taken from her current living situation, and she's taken to an auction house where she is sold off to the highest bidder because, that's normal. However, when she gets on stage, she is suddenly entices excitement among the people because they're like, oh, she's a slave Vega, she's a slave Vega. And the bid starts going up higher and higher and higher and higher until someone finally shouts, £5 million, and that's a lot of money in English currency. So she is then taken off stage and led to a mysterious man who has a veil over his face. She soon learns that she has just been sold to Elias Ainsworth, a seemingly very rich and very respected man. And then suddenly a tangle of thorns comes up and they disappear, goes somewhere else, and she learns that he has a goat skull for a head. Yeah, so you already get the idea that this is going to be a very interesting and wild ride from the get-go. So the premise isn't the only interesting thing about this particular manga. It's also the fact that, one, it's set in England, and two, it's also set with, Western fairies. Now, most times when you're dealing with a manga that's actually a fantasy series, you are dealing with yokai, which are kind of like Japanese fairies to a certain degree. And you're dealing with yore, which are Japanese ghosts. However, we're dealing with English fairies, we're dealing with spriggans, we're dealing with will-o-wisps, we're dealing with fire elementals. We are dealing with those type of things that most of us Westerners grew up with. Or at least I did. I don't know about you. So all in all, it already starts out with trying to set itself apart from everything else. There has been other series that tried to do this as well, like The Earl and the Fairy, but I feel like this one does it much better, starting with the magic system. Now, the magic system is different because, one, it separates sorcerer and wizard. Wizard, they are more scientifically inclined in the magical community. They practice magic, but it's more scientific, more rule-based, and far more structured. And sorcerers, they're the ones who actually deal with fairies. They have familiars, they have staffs, they have that sort of thing that you would typically see in something like Harry Potter. And that in itself already makes it interesting, especially when you break down the rules, what has to be done, the different parts that make a wizard or a sorcerer technician. They just have so many terms, and while it is hard to chew within the very beginning, you quickly swallow it and it's like, oh my gosh, this is an awesome series. Another strong point of this manga has to be the characters. And while in most series where the child has no parents and they seem pensive about it or they seem revenge stricken, she seems just more upset about the fact that they're gone and they abandoned her. Now, one parent actually up and left with her baby brother, but another parent died. So she's left all alone. She wanted to go with her mother because she was... And the fact that she is upset and has trauma from what happened between her and her mother still makes her upset and still grips emotion out of her and forms a lot of the way that she thinks and that she operates. It also makes her refreshing because she's not angsty about it. A lot of the times when anime characters or manga characters have no parents, they're really angsty about it. It's like, oh my gosh, my parents died, or oh my gosh, my parents abandoned me. Ah! For her, though, she is upset, but it's not angst. It's actual, you feel the emotional side of it. It's like, my parents, they kind of abandoned me. One died and one actually up and abandoned me. Which I like about her. She is not in the least a Mary Sue. Chise is very real. She's probably someone that you probably met before on the street. You know, aside from the fact that she's Japanese, has red hair. I mean, most Japanese people don't have naturally red hair. We're going to move on now before I get called a racist. Next is Elias, our bone-headed guy, our ancient magus. And can I say that he's really interesting? He looks like this bestial monster out of like a horror thing, but instead he is actually very gentlemanly, very interesting, and we don't know a lot about his past, but what is shown shows that he is something that will drive the manga to greater heights. While Elias does act protective towards Chise, he does not smother her in the way that a lot of anime or manga romance interest person does toward the female character. He lets her make her own decisions, and he will stand by and allow her to either fall from them or prosper from them, which I found very, very, very refreshing. Because, like I said, it gets annoying after a while when the male character is always like, oh, you can't do this, I have to protect you. He does have a protective instinct, which gets really scary sometimes, but it's really refreshing about it. Another thing about his character that I found very interesting was the fact that he does not feel normal human emotions. Considering that he is not a spirit, not a fairy, and not a human, it was nice seeing that he doesn't get everything the way that a human would, making him seem like a very different entity. He doesn't feel loneliness. He doesn't feel sad when people die. He just learned the appropriate reactions. For example, if someone were to die, he'd say my condolences. If someone were happy, he would smile kind of. I mean, he has a bone face, so he's kind of smiling anyway. But whatever. He understands that you have certain reactions to certain actions, which felt like it was a whole other entity that I could explore and I could get to know. Now, the side characters, there are a lot of side characters so far, and I found none of them to be dull. All of them are interesting, all of them have certain qualities that I can enjoy and that I can get behind. In general, all of the characters within the series are good. Even the only kind of antagonist that we have, which is really just this kid who is an ancient monster thing, who does things because he wants to. Think of Joker as a child and with unlimited magic powers. That's basically what you got. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I don't even know who to root for. Sometimes I'm like the kid is like, oh yeah, do that. And then it's like, oh gosh, my morals are all messed up. Basically what I'm trying to say in a not rambling way is that I like all these characters and I found all of them very interesting and something I could actually get behind. One of the strongest points of a manga has to be its art. The story can be good all at once, but if the art is terrible, then people will be more pensive and not be as eager to read it as something that has good art and a terrible story, which is kind of sad since I'm a writer, but then I'm also a manga lover, so I understand why this is done. And I'm happy to say that The Ancient Magus' Bride, it pans out on both ends perfectly. The writing for this feels very strong. The conversations feel realistic in a certain way, you know, considering it's a fantasy. And the art for it is drop dead gorgeous. I've already admitted I am an art whore, and I am more than happy to put art, story, characters in that order. Which is terrible, considering that means you're pumping out more junk. But still, I'm happy to put it in that order. And the art for The Ancient Magus' Bride is beautiful. Chise's character design is really perfect. I can see her as a 15-year-old girl, and I can also see that the expressions on her face are always sad, or they're always pensive, or when she's happy, you can see that she actually turned happy. And, well, to put it simply, Elias's character looks freaking awesome. The way he's drawn, you really can't tell the emotions on him, but by his stance. Sometimes he'll be drawn just normally, and then sometimes he'll be drawn as if he's trying to buff up, and then other times he's drawn like he's actually upset, like he's about to punch something. So it is very good the way the artist paid close attention to the way Elias is drawn. That way we know what he's thinking when there isn't dialogue. And there is a little bit of same-facedness occasionally between some of these characters, but it's not that bad. I can tell who is who without having someone say, oh, what's your face? Or, oh, what's your face? And especially good between the female characters. None of the female characters look the same. The male's a little more same-facedness, but it's not that bad. It's obvious that the author, she drew more female characters in her lifetime than male. So, with that all being said, what do I give a rating for this manga? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it meh? Well, I have to say that it is anime-worthy. While it does drag out sometimes and have just a lot of pointless art, I feel like the story itself is interesting, the characters are interesting, and the magic system is really unique. I mean, even among, like, a novel, if this was a novel, I would be more than happy to read it because of the magic system in itself. Everything about this manga has perfect action to reaction. It's just all around perfect, and I would be more than happy to get an anime out of it that has beautiful music, lovely graphics, and they need to make sure that Elias has like a normal English accent, and then when he comes all mad, it's like really deep and everything. That would just be awesome. So that is my review of The Ancient Magus' Bride. What do you guys think of it? Do you think that it will be a really good one, or do you think, since it is coming to America, that an anime is not far behind? And if you have any of these thoughts, or if you agree with any of these thoughts, click that like button. Also, if you think it'll become an anime or something like that, like I just said, I'm kind of repeating myself at this point, then let me know in the comment section, because really, I am excited about this manga. If it becomes an anime, I am more than happy to pre-order it, and then buy like the exclusive sets and box sets and stuff like that, because it's just awesome. So just let me know that in the comment section. Also, let me know if you want something else done. Do you want a manga review, anime classroom, anime rant, anime theory, oh my gosh, a game theory? How many sections do I have in this thing? Just let me know in the comment section for anything, really. And so you know that I kept my promise, because I'm a woman of my word, then click the subscribe button so everything gets all up in that inbox. See ya, guys!